in continuation of the dual aspect concept, now yesterday I said about who is a debtor and who is a creditor. Again, let me explain the same logic. Debtor is a person who owes to us now. Very important. That word now, I say that. Now then, when this fellow becomes a debtor, so debtor is created since he would have received money or money's worth earlier. So this is the past event, something which has happened in the past. For that, now he becomes a debtor now. Please understand, this is the past event. Because of this past event, now the person becomes a debtor at present, now. So I had said present resource, because debtor is a person who owes to us, so it becomes a resource for us, because anything which we own or which we have to receive, it becomes a resource. So present resource, which will result in inflow in future. When I say inflow can be in terms of money or money's worth. Anything can be an inflow, comes into us. That inflow will happen in the future. So anything which is in the form of present resource resulting in future inflow is called as an asset. This is the modern definition. Please understand what is an asset. Asset is nothing but the present resource which will be resulting in future inflow is called as an asset. So debtor becomes our asset. Please keep this in mind. And now I come to the concept of creditor. Similarly, what I have said about debtor, I have said creditor is a person to whom we owe now. Same word. The now what I have written for debtor, same now I have written for creditor also. Now, when a creditor is becoming now, that because the creditor is created since because he would have given money or money's worth earlier. As far as debtor is concerned, he would have received, whereas as far as creditor is concerned, he would have given. That is why if you look into the rules of accounting, debit the receiver. That means debit is derived from the word debtor, because debtor is the person who would have received earlier. That is why we call him as a debtor, and from there the word debit has come. Similarly, creditor is a person to whom we owe now. He would have given money or money's worth earlier. So credit the giver, debit the receiver is one of the accounting rule as far as the personal account is concerned. Creditor is a person to whom we owe now, and this can be explained the present obligation, because we owe to the creditor, therefore it is our obligation to pay to him, and that is now. That is why I said present obligation, which will result in outflow in future. So tomorrow the creditor will come to me, sir, you give me the money what I have given to you. So ultimately it is the present obligation, the moment when he becomes a creditor. Now this creditor, how he has come? Because of the earlier or past event. Because of the past event, he has given money or money's worth, he has become a present creditor, and this is nothing but our present obligation, which will result in future outflow of money or money's worth. And anything which is the obligation resulting a future outflow which is available present is called as a liability. So what is an asset? Debtor is an asset, creditor is a liability. Please understand. So in commercial sense, a debtor is a bad person and creditor is a good person. Obviously, the reason being, debtor is a person who owe to us. So somebody who has to give us money, he is our debtor. Unless and until he gives us the money, we cannot believe him. So if he does not pay the money, then that money will not be received and it becomes a loss to us. So ultimately, the debtor is a person who makes us worrying. So that is why I said debtor is a bad person. And at the same time, creditor is a good person. The reason being, that good man has given his money to us, and ultimately he feels very worrying whether we will pay him or not. So ultimately, creditor is a person who has lent his money or money is worth to us. At the same time, somebody who has taken money or money is worth from us is a debtor and is a bad person. Creditor is a good person and debtor is a bad person. That is why traditional accounting classification, they said personal and nominal. Under the personal, the rule says debit the receiver and credit the giver. And as far as nominal is concerned, debit all expenses and losses. Look at that, which is good. Expenses and losses are bad. And because debtor is a bad person, and from there that debit has come, and ultimately debit all expenses and losses and credit all incomes and gains, because creditor is a good person. From there the word credit has come, ultimately credit all incomes and gains. That was the traditional accounting classification of the account. Now let us go to the modern classification of accounts. Now I said under the traditional classification there were only personal and nominal. Now under the modern classification of accounts we have personal and impersonal. Now when I say personal have life and growth. They can think, they can act. Definitely I can say immediately the natural person, they come under the personal category. So personal is further subdivided into natural, artificial and representative. When I say natural, it means all human beings. They have life and growth. Now when I say growth, mental growth. They can think, they can act and they do things accordingly. So natural persons, they have mental growth. Now I come to the artificial persons. Now they are all created by human beings. Generally what can be given as an example? All business entities. All these business entities, they are governed by the statute. I can say law. So law gives them the life, and according to law, these artificial entities, they work on. And when I say as far as the life is concerned, law gives them the life, and as far as growth is concerned, you can see the physical growth. A small business entity starts with a small capital of 10,000, 50,000. It goes into big and it will have capital worth 50 crores, 100 crores, 1,000 crores like that. And I can say growth in terms of physical. Now when I come to the representative, it represents these two natural and artificial persons. And these natural and artificial persons, when they are represented, they are called as representative. Generally, they are used in practical application. When we come to the later stage of accounting, let us understand it briefly. Earlier I said about personal account. Now let me discuss about the impersonal account. Now impersonal account I had earlier written like they do not have life and growth. They are static in nature. Look at the land, building, even this board, the stool, everything is impersonal. Now this impersonal, in the ancient accounting system, they had not classified into real and nominal. So here, the modern accounting classification, they made it as real and nominal. Now, what is real? In real, we have around 5 important qualities. I had just lined out 5 important qualities. So some more qualities also, if somebody is having, they can add it up. But for me, I find these 5 important qualities are needed very much. So if any one of the following 5 qualities are applied, automatically we can call it as real. Now one of the first quality I have written, real have long useful life. So when I say long, that longevity, I say that as per the periodic concept, more than one accounting period. And then because it has got a long useful life, they are all having a logical sequence with each other. When you have long useful life, definitely the occurrence will become very rare. And being long useful life, in the middle of the period, if you are willing to sell it off, it will have a reasonable resale value. If these 3 important qualities put together applied, we call that as a fixed asset. Look at that. So for a fixed asset, these 3 important major qualities should be applied. One is having long useful life, having rare occurrence, and have a reasonable resale value. And when I say an asset, definitely it is a resource available with us. And another 4 and 5, I have said that here I said reasonable resale value. Now when I come to the fourth quality, I have said that have reasonable sale value. Along with that, it has income or revenue or profit generating ability. So when these two qualities are put together, we call that as current asset. Again, it's one more resource because it is fixed asset and current asset. It has got one more resource. It is also called as an inventory. So obviously when you look at it, 1, 2, 3, these three qualities put together, we call it as fixed asset, and 4 and 5 together, it is called as current asset. But if you apply any one of them is taken as a permissible one, automatically you can put it as real. But for me to call it as a fixed asset, these three important qualities should be put together, and all of them they have the sequential orders, and accordingly they could be applied straight away one by one. And as far as 4 and 5 is concerned, when it is applied, it is called as current asset, and we call it generally as inventory. So one person's inventory can become one person's fixed asset. For example, for all car distributors, car will become an inventory, but if you go and buy it, it becomes your fixed asset because of the qualities what I have written on the left hand side. And as far as nominal is concerned, none of the real account qualities are applied, and automatically it becomes a nominal, because I said long useful life. If they do not have long useful life, their occurrence is often, and they do not have resale value, they do not have sale value itself, they do not have revenue or income generating ability. So all, if you get a negativity in terms of answers, then automatically you can call that as nominal. So any static in nature item, when you put these questions in front of it, and if you get any one of them or tick, automatically you can put it as real, and none of them, one by one, if none of them are applied, you can call it as nominal.